So, as we were trying to figure out how to best support schools, one of the first strategies we learned was that we can provide widespread training and support if we reach out to partners to propose solutions. So, for example, at the start of the pandemic, one major challenge facing rural schools was getting current and future teachers trained to deliver online instruction in addition to being trained to deliver their normal face-to-face instruction. As is common throughout the nation, our entire state was and still continues to deal with a teacher shortage concern. And so in general, we just needed more teachers. And those teachers, we needed to be able to support them to develop online instruction skills. So this is especially true in rural school districts where there isn't that economy of scale to provide instructional coaches or technology integration specialists and some of the other roles that we see in the larger districts. So Cheryl had the idea to reach out to our local university partners to place student teachers in our online classrooms. They were all receptive, and this ended up providing us with 30 student teachers, and we now have 6 different university partners. So this created a win-win situation where they were able to fill their practicum, even though many face-to-face classrooms were closed for the year. And our staff had additional assistants in their overflowing virtual classrooms. And during synchronous sessions, they were also able to help, and we were able to help train new Idaho teachers with essential skills. For rural schools, this really meant that teachers who planned to come back after they got their degree and teach in small communities were graduating on time. And the pandemic didn't slow that down, and graduating also with the new skills needed by every teacher now, even though online teaching wasn't really in their original program of study. So as you can see from the quotes presented here, our student teachers and IDLA teachers both felt really supported during this collaboration. I highlighted a few of my favorite phrases there for you to check out. So in addition to the teacher shortage, we are currently facing a severe shortage of substitute teachers, especially in rural schools. So some of our schools are actually closing due to lack of subs and teachers that have to maybe just quarantine. They are healthy, but they need to stay away for a while, or just regular time off. There's a very large shortage of subs right now. So one way we help support rural schools was by working with our state Department of Education to create a series of hyperdocs that provides anyone new to substitute teaching that initial on-demand training. I think you heard about that a little earlier in the presentation. And this series of hyperdocs covers a wide range of topics, from how to read a lesson plan to classroom management to what to expect in a typical day. Jennifer Gonzalez, a teacher and author, defines a hyperdoc just as a digital document like Microsoft Word or a Google Doc, where all components of the learning cycle have been pulled together in one central hub. So within that single document, students are provided with hyperlinks to all of the resources they need to complete that entire learning cycle. So to supplement and introduce these hyperdocs, we made just 2 to 3 minute video overviews for the first 4 topics, so that anyone very new but wanting to step into a classroom to help in an emergency situation could get a primer in just about 12 minutes, and then they can dive into that complete learning cycle later. So here is an example of what a hyperdoc looks like. So this slide will show you in more detail each of those components in the learning cycle. They're about 4 pages long, and as you can see the first 3 pages here. So for every hyperdoc subject, the entire learning cycle is present, as I've already mentioned, and then every hyperdoc includes an engage, explore, explain, apply, reflect, and extend section. So there's that consistency there, and you can't see the reflect and extend pieces on your screen, but I promise you they're there. So before we move on, I just want to go back to that original strategy. This strategy we're highlighting is that one way to support rural schools was to provide training through win-win partnerships. So the outcome of this particular partnership with our State Department of Education was the series of hyperdocs, but the outcome or the deliverable could be anything. The strategy that we really want to highlight here is that the key to making sure the partnership is providing a tool and an outcome, something valuable to rural schools, and that it could not be provided without that shared responsibility. So in this case, our State Department of Ed is hosting the content from their website. They completed a survey prior to us doing this work that made sure that this is really something that districts would find useful and that they would utilize. And then what we brought to the table into the partnership was our ability to create fully asynchronous online content that is consistent, accessible, copyright compliant, and that models strong pedagogy for online asynchronous learning. So again, that strategy is just kind of reach out and see who you could partner with to really cast a wider net and help with some of those supports. So the second lesson we learned is that students need connection with both their peers and their teachers. And we've heard a lot about this. So we used to kind of be able to leave this up to the face-to-face schools before the pandemic and just provide the online piece, knowing that the relationship between the teacher and the student in the online setting, we were going to focus about that, but we weren't going to be the primary provider of relationship and connection. But what we know now after the pandemic, and as we're currently still really in it, is that we need to prioritize all connections, including student-to-student connection and teacher-to-teacher connection. So this can be achieved quickly through scheduled regular live class sessions in a virtual platform such as Zoom. So in our elementary program, that was really our first course offering that required students to attend live sessions. They had to come for 1 hour, 4 times a week, in addition to their online independent work. And so this was something new to our program, but last spring we sent out surveys to students 3rd grade and up, as well as to parents of all students, K through 6. And there was a very clear theme in their feedback. Parents say that students love their teachers and they loved the live sessions. And then, as you can see from the student feedback highlighted here on the screen, the students also loved it. So I could have easily pulled another 40 comments similar to this, but there was that one comment in particular that I'm going to read to you in order to highlight how our program was truly a partnership program that fosters connection. This student said, "I like that I have 4 teachers, my mom, ELA, math, and at elementary school." The student, that comment was really just showing that the connection was prioritized all the way through. And the student felt that the community aspect that we've always wanted, and it included parents, the local school, and that student's 2 online teachers. So I would count us learning how to make those connections stronger as a real silver lining of the pandemic. So following up with strategy number 2 about really making sure that we have some strong connections is that now that all students have that taste of some form of learning online, we want to make sure that they do get a first-rate experience and that they find ways to engage and connect with one another moving forward. That desire for two-way interaction and emotional support is one of the biggest needs still emphasized right now. And so in response, we are still doing new activities all the time that prioritize that connection. So we have a near peer mentoring program going where students from BSU are connecting with students in our custom sections to provide them motivation and encouragement and tell them kind of how it is in the next step of their learning and educational career. We are starting a few clubs and groups. We have things like Poetry Out Loud starting and a couple just optional ways that students can come and connect and have some recreation in those things that make school and all that hard work that they're doing worth it. So we're offering some opportunities like that. Again, not relying solely on the face-to-face school to offer that because we know some of our students now are fully online. And we still have e-tutoring, which is just on-demand tutoring for IDLA students from IDLA teachers. And a lot of connection opportunities where especially we're taking care of our teachers as well. Like currently we do have right around 400 teachers and we're reaching out via phone or text to every single one just to give them a word of encouragement and to say we care and make sure that they're doing okay. And then a lot of little virtual check-ins, fun videos, taking a couple minutes at the beginning of meetings to thoughtfully plan into the agenda time for that connection. Lots of notes of encouragement and swag and things like that, just to make people feel valued and appreciated. And so those are the 2 main strategies that we would highlight.